Welcome to the inaugural edition of the News Reporter, Behind the Scoreboard. My name's Franklin Davis. Now, whether or not this becomes something that we do on a regular basis is yet to be seen. That's going to depend on your response and actually how comfortable I feel with doing this. But we're going to give it a try. My first guest for this is incoming Whiteville High School Athletics Director, Savanna Elkins. Savanna, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Franklin.
Let's go ahead and dispense with some of the personal stuff, give people a little bit better idea of where you're from, some of your background.
Okay. So I am actually a Bladen County gal, raised in Clarkton, but I graduated from Whiteville High School in 2011. So I am former alumni of the PAC, and I graduated from East Carolina University in 2016.
And jobs that you've held since that graduation from ECU?
So I did my student teaching at North Pitt High School at ECU, and they loved me so much they hired me on. So I started my teaching career at North Pitt High School. I worked there from 2017 to 2021, wanted to move back home to the big old city of Clarkton, and got a job at Clarkton School Discovery, where I taught for a year. And then Emily Barnes at Whiteville High School said, "Hey, you want to come teach high school again?" I said, "Sure." And the rest was history.
And since you've been at Whiteville, I believe you've been in the science department, right?
I have. I've actually been the science department chair. I am the Phi Alpha PAC advisor. I am also the unofficial photographer of the school, pep rally MC, bus driver, you name it, I've done it at Whiteville High School.
And you mentioned the sports photography, and that was one of the things I was going to ask you about. You're well known, and you should be well known because you do an excellent job of the sports photography and have helped us out at the News Reporter on numerous occasions.
Yes.
How do you think your new role is going to affect that outside activity?
So it's going to affect it greatly. Being an athletic director is going to be my top priority moving forward, but I still have that passion for photography that I'm not willing to let go of completely. So whenever I have a chance to take photos, I want to still take photos, because especially for the athletes, it helps showcase and promote our programs. And so I love being able to use my photos on social media. I love being able to give the kids photos that they can look back on and have the memories. So I still want to find the time to be able to do that when I'm not being tied up in some athletic director duty at the time.
Okay, I can't let the personal part go without doing one of my favorite things. It's part of the McDonald's biographies that we have done here at the News Reporter for years and years. What words would your friends use to describe you?
Well, I know typically the teenagers all say that their friends would describe them as funny, but I actually asked Whiteville High School tennis coach Emily Barnes what she thought of me, because she is one of my best friends. She said that I was hardworking, committed, dedicated, and personally my favorite, she said I was all in, which is something I'd have to agree with.
And from what I know of you, I think those words describe you as well. So,
Thank you.
She did a good job.
Yes.
All right, let's get to some of the more job-related questions. What is your experience within the Whiteville High School Athletic Department?
So during my year when I was teaching at Clarkton School Discovery, I actually started coaching volleyball here at Whiteville High School with Olivia Scott. And then when I came over as science teacher, I continued coaching volleyball with Caitlin Brown. Coaching with those two was real important to me. They're both two strong women who I admire greatly, and they taught me a lot about, Whiteville athletics. And even though Caitlin wasn't from Whiteville, just the way she coached taught me a lot that I still carry with me to this day. And then I've also been the head women's soccer coach for the past 3 years.
Okay. And then you decided, hey, let me just add something else to that and seek the athletic director's job. And what was behind that thought process?
Well, it's funny. I actually helped coach the men's soccer program as well in the fall. I helped Coach Mitchell Volpe just kind of adjust, since he hadn't coached high school soccer before. And I had made the decision 6, 7, 8 months ago that I would not coach anything in the fall to have more free time. And well, then I became the athletic director, and I don't think free time's much of a thing anymore. So I look forward to just, getting more to like the logistics side of things. And so I kind of always find myself in leadership positions. When I was at East Carolina, I worked with the East Carolina University Campus Recreation and Wellness. And so it's just, the rec department. We had a big gym on campus. We had an off campus site that had a big pond where we had like kayaks and canoes and all this stuff. And I started out as just a site manager and quickly worked my way up to the facility manager position, where I helped oversee all 3 of our campuses and all the programs. And just that experience, I think, has led me to wanting to continue to find myself in a leadership position. And so athletic director just kind of seemed to be that next step to further my career.
And you fall right into the category with a lot of guests that I've had on baseball, football broadcasts that I've done, anticipating what the next question I had was going to be, answering it with the previous one. So thank you for that. And we'll skip what in your background, because I think you've gone through that very well. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to be your number one responsibility as an athletics director?
Just continuing our level of success. We have a culture where student athletes thrive, not just athletically, but academically and personally. As a coach, I tell every team of mine, I am more worried about who you are when you leave my program instead of just the soccer skills that you have or the volleyball skills that you have. Obviously, being an athlete and being a top athlete is what we want to try to do so we can win championships, but I'm more worried about who they become as a person when they leave Whiteville High School. So just kind of continuing that trend. You know, Whiteville High School has strong traditions, and we have a lot of pride in our community, and I think that's part of what makes Whiteville so special, is the Whiteville community. I have worked, like I said before, in different school districts, and nowhere compares to Whiteville.
And talking about the Whiteville community, we know Friday nights are football Fridays in Whiteville, and of course, that's the big money-making sport. That is the sport probably that the community rallies around more than anything else. So there's got to be maybe not more focus than what is needed, but at least more focus maybe on the football program, because it is such a revenue generator.
It is. And you know, Friday Night Lights, it's not just a game, it's an event in Whiteville High School. It's like you said, people rally around Whiteville football. Even people who don't even like sports necessarily will come to a Whiteville High School football game just for the experience. And that is something that I am excited to be a part of. Obviously, I've been on the sidelines taking pictures of the football athletes. You know, I'm friends with the coaches, so I have a good idea of what all goes into football, but I'm eager to kind of see. Everyone says, you know, football's a beast, football's a beast. I'm like, all right, let's bring it on. Let's take on this beast. And
everything you have to put together, and people show up and watch the ball games, but they don't realize that gatekeepers, people in the press box, as far as doing the PA, which is a monumental job, just clock operators, getting law enforcement there, and everything else, scheduling officials, just the whole thing. You've got to coordinate the band, the cheerleaders, the football team is just a monumental undertaking for one simple Friday night.
There is. That's what I'm saying. It's an event. It's not just, you know, people don't exactly realize what all goes into these Friday Night Lights. But it's like you said, all those things, add in concession stand, add in parking, add in the guys doing the chains on the side, you know, add in media. There's just so much that goes into it. And I personally, football is my favorite sport in general, so that just, you know, helps make that
should
better.
Help then.
It does, a little bit.
What do you think is the greatest strength? Obviously, you know, your time at East Carolina and what you worked with there is going to be a strength that you bring to it. But I would think, too, the variety of sports that you have been involved with, even from a sports photography, you pick up something from those sports.
You do. And going back to my ECU Campus Rec and Wellness days, we had these pillars of campus recreation and wellness, and they were communication, integrity, adaptability, mentorship, initiative, conflict resolution, effective reasoning, and self-reflection. Those pillars there really helped shape me to who I am today. And I think those pillars can help you with any kind of job that anybody would go into. So I credit a lot of who I am today because of my Campus Rec and Wellness experience. And so I think I do well at all those pillars. But I think my greatest strength is just I already have such a strong relationship with a lot of people in the community because of my photography. I have a strong relationship with the students because I've taught them, I've coached them. And I think a lot of this is having those strong relationships and just being able to do what I can to support our students, our coaches, our staff, and our community in any way possible. And I think I can do that.
And speaking of strong relationships, Todd Burney, who was and actually at this point still is the athletic director for a while, you are already working with him and have really assumed a number of the athletic director's responsibilities at this point. And there's always David Smith, who was the athletic director at Whiteville for I think 12 years, who you can call on. So you got some good people there that are backing you up as well.
I do, and that was a big relief, like going into this, you know, when it was talking about, you know, me taking over the athletic director position, knowing I had Todd Burney and David Smith to fall back on was a huge relief. And that's a good thing about Todd Burney still staying on to teach and coach. He has already been a huge help with the transition. We have already worked a lot together on just what I need to start on now, what maybe can wait until July, until August. And he has already, you know, promised, you know, if I ever need him, he's right there in the gym, and I can just go and help him. Same thing with David Smith. David Smith was the athletic director when I was in high school, and so I know how respected he was as a student, and now becoming teaching and coaching, I've even learned more about, you know, what all David Smith did for the community. And he has also told me I can call him anytime I need him. So, and I told him, be careful what you ask for, because you might just get more phone calls than you want.
And then of course there's dealing with the athletic budget, and money can be tight.
Money can be tight.
Whiteville's fortunate to have a number of boosters clubs that kick in and help out the athletic program in addition to just sales at the gate. Transportation seems to be more of an issue with teams these days than it has been at any time in the past. Scheduling, a whole new realignment, new conference members looking for new non-conference opponents, all of that is under your purview.
It is, and we're actually adding on. In the past, when David Higgins worked at the school, he was in charge of the activity buses. Last year it was Jeremiah Johnson until he moved on, and then it's been Mr. Stephen Klontz, the assistant principals, doing activity buses, and I have learned that I will be taking over activity buses as well as all the other athletic director responsibilities, which is fine, it makes sense. We use the buses the most, so I don't mind adding that to my list of things to do. But I'll also be not only with the athletic games, making sure activity buses are good to go for the field trips for all of our schools. So I will be adding that to our list. Yeah.
You've played a huge role in the social media content that Whiteville High School Athletics has really put out there and much more content in the past year. Are you going to continue to play a role in that? Have you delegated some of that responsibility to someone else, or how's that going to work? Because it's very effective to what you put out there in order to know who's playing when.
Thank you. Yeah, I plan on continuing that to the best of my ability. If I can, I don't want to put more on my coaching staff than they already have to do, but if somebody wants to step up and help me, by all means, I will take any help with that. But yeah, I like being able to, when I came on, let me backtrack. When I came on, Todd Burney was like, hey, do you want to just start posting game results on the Facebook for me? Because he's not really on social media much, and I don't blame him. Sometimes I wish I wasn't. And I said, sure, I can do that. And the more I did that, I said, I can kind of take this to the next level. So that's when I started making the game day graphics and the schedule graphics. But that does take a lot of time. I know even in the spring, when I was having to teach and coach myself, sometimes I didn't get game day graphics out. And, part of me felt bad, because I'm like, man, I wish I can kind of continue that social media presence. So it does take a lot of time, but I do plan on continuing that and even trying to take it to the next level, because the social media, it's like you said, it helps promote what all we have going on. It lets the public know, hey, we're playing this team at this time. Come on out, help support the pack in whatever way you can. So I like doing it. It's been fun. And it's been cool to showcase my photography with it as well. So it's kind of, personally helped that side.
Win-win.
As well. It's a win-win.
Yeah. those are the pros of social media. Of course, there's some cons to it too, with supporters, we'll call them, or maybe even athletes themselves getting on social media.
Yeah.
Any concerns there, or do you think that that's been maybe not that big of a problem at Whiteville High School?
I don't think it's been that big of a problem here. You can get into the realm of, people forget at the end, these are just children. These are teenagers. They forget that those words can sit with these teenagers. And so, luckily, knock on wood, we haven't really had much negativity on social media with that. So that's been a thing. But something else, a pro of letting people know, hey, we played this team at this time. People want to know, well, how did we do? What was the score? And so I can't always post right away, hey, Whiteville won, Whiteville lost. I can't always post that right away. So having that fast and clear communication about games, I can't always do that with the results. And so that can be a con to it.
And that's where the news reporter can step in. If the coaches will just simply, shoot a score to the news reporter, we can get that out on our social media, and people will have it instantaneously.
If only it was that simple, Franklin.
Exactly. So when it works well, it is that simple.
Exactly.
But it doesn't always work well.
It does not.
Do you think, I'll rephrase.
Okay.
I think every person has their own idea of what any job, any situation should look like. And it's not that you're thinking that, this was done incorrectly in the past. It's just maybe something that I want to put more focus on and put my stamp on the program.
Yeah.
Are there any things that you think that the general public will see that are different about Whiteville High School athletics with you as the athletic director?
I don't. I think Todd Burney has done a great job during his time as athletic director, and just doing everything he can for our athletes and our coaching staff and our teams. And so I think I'll just hop right in and just continue, everything that he has done. And so I don't think the general public will notice a difference.
Is it okay to say what your teaching responsibility is going to be in the fall?
I can't say yet.
Okay, can't say yet.
Say yet.
All right, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Finally, you're going to be the first Whiteville High School athletics director where North Carolina High School Athletic Association has gone to 8 classifications. That's going to, it may not make any difference in the regular season. It's certainly going to make some difference come playoff time as far as who makes the playoffs, who you're seeing in the playoffs, and everything. Have you given any consideration to that as to, just what all that's going to entail?
Yeah, I think we needed an expansion. I think most people can agree that we needed more than just the 4A, because just the
too much disparity between the top and the
Yes.
bottom in the classes.
Yes, definitely. And so going to 8 classifications, I think obviously there's going to be pros and cons to everything. I'm a little curious to see how a 5A South Brunswick will do in a mix of 3 and 4A schools, with our new conference coming in. So I'm curious to kind of see how that goes. And, I'm curious to see how playoffs go. Are they going to keep it at 32, or are they going to cut it down to 24? Because obviously with more classifications, if we keep playoff numbers at 32, are we letting in 0 and 10 teams into these playoffs? So what's the point in that? So I'm curious to see how it goes. They're still ironing out some details. I think it will help even the level of competition, at least with all classifications. So I think that will be a good thing. But what's the point winning conference championship anymore? If you don't get that automatic bye or the automatic bid for winning your conference championship, what are we just compete for bragging rights?
Basically.
So I'm not too happy about that part, but I just get paid the little bucks. They get paid the big bucks, so we do what they say.
And it's interesting too, here in Columbus County, you have 4 public high schools, and they're in 3 different classifications, with Whiteville and South Columbus staying 3A, West Columbus is 2A, and East Columbus is 1A. So split up in the different conferences, and even though you're in the same county, and
Yeah.
again, all that factors into who you schedule non-conference, and you have to consider the RPI rankings, because that's how you're going to get into the playoffs now without the automatic bids, and there's just a lot to it. How involved will you get? And I know what's going on right now, and a lot of it's been done, the scheduling for the individual sports. So do you let the head coaches handle that with you looking at maybe a final say-so or whatever?
So in the past, Coach Bernie has given the head coaches the what's the word I'm looking for? I've been able to make my own schedule.
Right.
And so I'm going to continue that, because I think, the coaches, they know their teams, they know who they want to play. I do know we are continuing to play East Columbus, West Columbus in non-conference games, which I think is good. I love playing the local teams. I think it's good for the community. I think, these kids are all friends with each other.
Yep.
So I think it just kind of helps that healthy competition, because there's always going to be that Whiteville and South rivalry. Yep. And since we are in the same conference, we can continue doing that. But there's still, might not be the same level of rivalry with East and West, but there's still that, that competition that's there. So I look forward to continuing our relationships with East and West Columbus, and even East Bladen down the road.
Right.
They were only in our conference for a short amount of time, but I do know we are continuing scheduling games with them as well. So even though our conferences have changing, taking those schools out of the conference does kind of help with scheduling non-conference, because before, I know from a soccer standpoint, it was hard to find teams to play. Close by teams, West Brunswick, North Brunswick, South Brunswick, they're powerhouses, and we're in a rebuilding era, and so I didn't necessarily want to play teams that we're going to get mercy ruled in the first half.
Yeah.
But so now we're able to we can still schedule some non-conference that's going to be heavy competition, good teams, but we can still kind of play some people who are on the same level as
competitive
we are.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to help with coaching, with scheduling games, but it's like you said, it affects RPI. So when we play, a 1A, 2A team, and we win, and if we lose, whatever happens, that can really tip the scales.
It's got to be a balance, yeah.
It does. So I think we're all curious to see how that plays out.
Well, Savanna, I must say, I think that you have been a very good guinea pig, and done a good job with giving a little bit of behind the scoreboard, as we're calling it, look at what all an athletics director responsibilities are, and what you're looking forward to doing at Whiteville High School this year. And we look forward to seeing how all that turns out, and wish you the best of luck in your inaugural season as the athletics director, and appreciate you coming on and being our first guest.
Hey, I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate the opportunity, because some people, like you said, they don't know what an athletics director does. So I was happy to kind of maybe give some insight to some of those people to see what happens behind the scoreboard. I'm just sad that we had to turn away the number of people that wanted to be the live studio audience and be in here to support you today, but we just didn't have room for everybody that wanted to show up. I know. There was just no room for them to go, but they were chomping at the bit to come, and they really wanted to ask their own questions. So maybe you can add that in the future. Add in an opportunity for questions.
We'll have to see about that, no doubt. Well, that does it for the inaugural Behind the Scoreboard show. I'm Franklin Davis. My guest has been Savanna Elkins. And again, we want to hear your comments. Like it, dislike it, let us know something, and maybe we can continue this as a series in the fall. Thanks for watching.